What if I told you that December 25th was never chosen because Jesus was born on that day, but because Rome refused to let its gods die? Christmas is celebrated today as a symbol of love, peace, light, and divine birth. But history tells a far more complex, uncomfortable, and controversial story, one that challenges tradition, exposes power structures, and forces us to ask whether faith was shaped by truth or by survival. Because long before Christmas trees, nativity scenes, and midnight masses filled churches and homes, December 25th was already sacred to the Roman world, not for Jesus, but for the unconquered sun, Sol Invictus. And during the darkest days of winter, when nights were longest and hope was fragile, Romans celebrated Saturnalia, a festival of excess, feasting, gift-giving, role reversal, and drunken joy, believing the sun's rebirth would restore order and life. And when Christianity emerged as a minority faith under persecution, its earliest followers never celebrated Jesus' birth at all. There is no date mentioned in the Bible, no command to mark it. And for nearly 3 centuries, Christians focused on resurrection, sacrifice, and moral transformation, not birthdays. Because in ancient Jewish tradition, birthdays were associated with pagan rulers, not prophets. But everything changed when Christianity moved from persecuted belief to political instrument. When Emperor Constantine embraced Christianity in the 4th century, not purely as spiritual awakening but as a strategy to unify a fractured empire. And Rome faced the dilemma: how do you convert a pagan population without tearing apart their cultural identity? And the answer was not removal, but replacement, not erasure, but absorption. And so December 25 was baptized rather than abolished. The sun god, quietly replaced by the Son of God, old rituals given new meanings. Evergreen trees rebranded as symbols of eternal life. Candles once lit for solar rebirth now representing divine light. And feasts once dedicated to Saturn, now honoring Christ. Creating a hybrid tradition that was easier to accept than a complete rupture. And this fusion worked so effectively that within generations, people forgot where the customs came from, mistaking continuity for divine origin. And while many argued that adopting pagan customs helped spread Christianity peacefully, others question whether truth was compromised for convenience. Because if Jesus' birth was truly central to salvation, why would God leave its date ambiguous, allowing centuries of uncertainty? And historical records suggest Jesus was more likely born in spring or early autumn, when shepherds were in fields, not in the freezing Judean winter, which makes December 25th less a revelation and more a decision. And as Christianity expanded, Christmas became less about spiritual reflection and more about institutional authority, reinforcing the church's calendar, consolidating power, and shaping public obedience through sacred time. And centuries later, capitalism completed what Rome began, transforming a religious observance into a global economic engine, where consumerism replaced contemplation, gifts replaced gratitude, and faith became seasonal, measured not by devotion but by decoration. And today, millions celebrate Christmas without knowing why the date exists, why the customs feel older than the theology, or why a religion built on truth would require historical silence to sustain its most beloved holiday. And this is not an attack on faith, nor an insult to believers, but an invitation to honesty, because questioning history does not weaken belief, strengthens understanding. And when religion avoids self-examination, it risks becoming tradition without truth, ritual without reason, and identity without knowledge. And perhaps the most uncomfortable question is not whether Christmas has pagan roots, but why humanity repeatedly chooses comfort over clarity, story over substance, and celebration over sincerity. Because if faith is true, it should survive scrutiny, and if traditions are meaningful, they should not fear their origins. And the story of Christmas, when stripped of nostalgia, reveals a powerful lesson not about a date, but about human nature, authority, adaptation, and the cost of preserving unity at the expense of transparency, leaving us with a final question that echoes louder than church bells on December 25th. Are we honoring the truth, or simply repeating history we never examined? Because faith that fears questions is not faith at all, it is tradition on autopilot.